record. Okay, so today we are going to review an article, and this okay, I call it article. It's actually an original piece by one of the Journal Club member, and she'll talk later once we participate in the review. It's called Carlo Sokoto, and she wrote an amazing paper together. She co-authored a paper together with a team, and she'll give us a bit of a background later. It's always good to hear from the author what drove them to write a paper and all that. Don't worry, my desktop, I have all the things open, the desktop of a researcher. So today we are reviewing this original article, which is part of her dissertation, PhD dissertation, and it's called Racism. There's a baby also who wants to review with us. It's called Racism in Oral Health Settings, and it implicates implications for dental care related fear and or anxiety and utilization among Black / African American women in Appalachia. I hope I've pronounced it well. So this is the article that we are reviewing, and this is how we are going to do it. So I'm going to put a link on the chat. This link has the questions that we had provided earlier. And let me just show that. Then we are going to take 10 minutes to write in our reflections. And mark you, we don't have to be right, we just need to try. And then from there, we will just go one by one, just discussing. So let me share that, and then you can see. Does anyone have any question as we continue? Any reflection, please don't worry. You can always stop me anytime. So let me just share. So let me know if you can see the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let me put the link on the, so that you can also open it. Should be this one. So I've put anyone with the link can edit. So you all have access to edit it. This is a participatory session. It's not like a webinar where you listen to someone. So click on the link. You will find this, and I'd love us to go through the questions. So this is the article, this is the citation, and this is what we are going to fill in. And no right or wrong, just fill what the question you want and fill in what you want to put across. So question one we are going to answer is, what are the claims that the author is making? What are some of the claims you when you read the article, you found them making in the article? What are the claims? What are the arguments? Claims can also be arguments. What argument are they making in the paper? How are they supporting those arguments? How do you see them? They make a particular claim. How are they supporting them? And here you can just reflect any way you've seen they're reflecting on this. I can only see one person has clicked. Are we all there? Are we using phones? Are we using laptops?
Laptop, yeah.
Yeah, just click on the link, come in, click on the link on chat. Even if you're on phone, I think you can just click in. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to try. As I told you, today is the first day we are also doing this. So we are doing more like a collaborative review. And just to let you know, also, if people are reading your work, this is how they actually normally would evaluate it. What are the main arguments the author is making? How are they supporting these claims and arguments? So it's useful also for you as you're reading and writing. Yes, I'm seeing more people are coming in. Thank you so much. Keep coming in. Keep clicking on the link and coming in. And you can answer any question that you feel. So one is, what arguments are they making? Two, how are they supporting these arguments? Very important in scholarly work. You make an argument, you make a claim, you have to support the claim, and people see the quality of that support. Then what is the study design that has been used for this study? What is the quality of evidence, the validity of the methods and the analysis? And you don't have to be perfect for you to give an answer about the quality of the methods. Just use your own knowledge. Most of you have been in research methods courses, so just use that knowledge to figure out, well, I think this evidence they're providing is strong, they're basing it on particular type of studies and all that. Then what do you feel has been left out in this study and is very important, and why? What is the strength of this study, and what could be the weaknesses or the maybe weaknesses? We could also say the limitations of the study. Maybe I can separate the weakness and assumptions. So we have, what are the strengths of this study? Okay. What is so strong about it? What are some of the assumptions that the author is making? Remember, anytime we do scholarly work, we're always coming from a particular paradigm. And it is in this paradigm that we make particular assumptions, even in the questions we ask, even in the populations we use, we choose, in the context we choose. It's always good to see the assumption. Then examine the conclusion carefully and ask, is this the correct conclusion for the arguments that have been made, for the evidence that they have provided in this study? Are they drawing the right conclusions? And then how can you use this work to improve your own work? So these are the questions we are answering. So please, I can only see 3 people online. Please come in. Don't be shy. Don't go away because of the pressure to participate. If you're really feeling, maybe today I'm just learning, it's still okay, but just try. You can even put your answers on chat. You can just put a question you see here, and put it an answer on chat, so that you also participate on chat. You don't have to do on the article. So now we are going to take 10 minutes. We will stop at 10:25. We will review this. We will just write our responses on chat or wherever, and then we come back and have a discussion. We also have the author here, so it would be nice to see what motivated her to write this paper, what is the context. It's always very important to see where the author is located. So are we ready to do this? If I was a pastor, I would say, can I hear an amen? Can I hear a yes? Are we ready? Does anyone have questions? Good people, am I talking alone? Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
If they can see the struggle in the readiness. Evelyn, welcome. Let me just call one name. No one will know the other name. Evelyn, welcome. Joy, welcome. Lawrence,
Thank
welcome. Dudu, welcome. Regina, Tom, Zuta. Yes, let's write whatever we can write. I told you it's the first time we are doing this in a long time, and then now we can have a discussion. So do you want me to project, or you can do it privately on your on your computers. Do I project? I can see the responses are coming. Good. Try. The best thing you can ever do for yourself is just try. And you can see the names don't show, like, you know, it's anonymous cheater, so no one knows you're the one who wrote. Is it projecting well? Because I'm also half sharing the screen. Maybe someone can tell me, is it okay? Because I'm also reading my own paper. Yes, yes. Thank you, Carlo, for helping me. Okay, the people who've joined us now, welcome. It's a collaborative review of this text. This is the text that we are reviewing. It's called Racism in Oral Healthcare Setting, Implications for Dental Related Fear or Anxiety and Utilization among Black African American women in Appalachia. So what we are doing now, we are assuming that people read, but even if you didn't read, you can do quick scanning of the reading. The link to the article is on the chat. And then we are now answering the questions that we had put forward, trying to answer them based on how we understood the text. And then from that answering, we are going to come back and have a discussion. So I've seen Hasina and Chris have joined. You can go to click on the link, open the article. If it's not open for you, there's also a PDF on chat. Click on the other link that has this Google Doc, and then you can begin answering your question. Answering the questions. We are reconvening at around, let me just add a bit, 7:27 is when we are reconvening with the answers. So just feel free to answer any question. Yes. As we said, this is a very important exercise because this is how people also read your paper. What claims are you making? How are you supporting those claims? So the more you are used to doing this, you also become a better writer with time. Okay, so the questions are here. Just click on the link and then you begin to respond. Welcome, Risi. So at 7:27, thereabout, we're going to start the discussion. Yeah, so feel free to write whatever. Even you can formulate your own question. If you find there is no question that you're finding relevant, I've not been able to, even you see someone has said, I've not even been able to pinpoint the evidence. You see, that's very good because it helps us to really unpack. And the beauty of it, the author is here. They can also respond to, if someone says, I can't find the evidence, they can say, oh, I think this is where the evidence was, you know? So please log in. I can only see 3 people typing and I can see your 14 of you. So click. You can also put on chat your responses, no worries. Put on chat. Yes, I can see Nduzu is following and learning. Lawrence is following and learning. That's okay. It's okay. There's always a first time. So those who are able, please go in and just respond to those questions. Welcome, Jacqueline. If you read the article, just click. Let me just share the link if someone is able. We are trying to, for those who read the article, we are just trying to put in some responses. There is a link to the Google Doc that you can see open, and we are trying to answer some of those questions that, and there is no right or wrong. We just want to practice picking out arguments in papers, because remember, sometimes you can read a paper and actually fail to pick the core argument. And the more you practice, the better it becomes for you to pick out. Because have you ever read a paper and then you're like, okay, now what was that paper about? Either it was not very clear, or maybe you are not able to pick the core argument. So those are the skills we are sharpening. Is someone talking? Sorry. So we have 4 minutes. Those who are writing, those who are watching and learning, please read the article. You can be reading the article now, so that as we go on, you can be with the discussion. So let me just send the link. I don't know, Carlo, are you able to send again the PDF? Let me just send the
Yes, I can
link.
do that. I can do that.
Yes, yes. So here is the link, and Carlo will send the, just be reading the article as we try to put in some responses.
Aurelia, good evening. It's Hasina here.
Evening. Yes,
Where
Hasina,
can I write the responses?
click on this link on chat. Let me put the link on chat.
Okay, because I've got the article in front of me on my laptop.
Yes. Then click
So,
here. There's that link on chat. Click on that, and then you can start putting your responses.
okay, all right, let me try that.
So now it's 7:27. Let me just, we push up to 7:30. 7:30 we finish, and people can continue writing their responses. Yes, those who are watching and learning, we've said read the article. so that we can also be together as we review what we have written. Welcome, Isaiah. We are just responding to the questions that we had put. We are about to finish, 2 minutes to finish writing our responses. As you can see, those who are just joining, we have projected the questions, and people who read the article are trying to respond to some of those questions. Those who are not responding, you say they are reading. And as we said, mostly this is how people read your paper, to try and draw out core arguments, how you're supporting them. Of course, there are many, many tools that you can use to do a critical review. This is just one of the very many, and I'll be sharing that later next week on the many tools you can use to review different types of research designs. So if you've done a randomized clinical trial, there is a tool that you can use to appraise that type of research. There is a tool for qualitative, and we'll be sharing that next week. But today we are using these questions. Oh, it's already time. Okay, no worries. Okay, so because we're only here for 30 minutes, we are going to move to the discussion. But if you're writing, please continue writing, don't worry. So thank you. I can see people have responded. So just to remind everyone, this is the article we were appraising today. And this article has been authored by a member of the Journal Club with her team. And it's part of her PhD dissertation. So this is also really nice that she also gets to see how people are understanding the paper. So let's just begin with how people okay, let's mute if we are not talking. So so what I'll do, I'll be reading the question, invite people to reflect on what claims they find, and then also invite the author to kind of also tell us, is this the claim that they were also making in the article? So the first question we have, what claim or arguments are being made in this paper, in this dissertation? And what we have picked out is that the author seems to be arguing that there is racism in oral care. So in the practice of oral care, there seems to be racism. Then someone else also says the author claims that everyday racism contributes to fear or anxiety, which affects how people utilize oral health, and particularly for African American women And they also make a claim that this area has been understudied. Literature seems not to have captured this very well, and the study wants to contribute to that. It wants to contribute this to literature, this type of racism in the context of oral health and utilization of health within a particular community. So the other person is still typing. So in terms of the claims of the main arguments, what are you reflecting on? What are some of your reflections? And if you're struggling with, okay, what is a claim? What is an article? What is an argument? You can also ask, because we're also learning as we are going. In terms of the arguments that the author is making, this is what people are finding are the main arguments. Are there any reflections on this? Was it difficult to pick out the argument? Let's just discuss a bit so that we are learning together. Did anyone struggle to pick out what was the core argument of this paper, the main claim that they are making?
I think
Anyone?
I think it was easy. The wording, it was a bit straightforward. You only sympathize with the situation, and but it was easy to pick the argument.
Any other reflections? Carlo, maybe you can tell us what was your core argument? Do we seem to have picked that out? For those who responded, do we seem to have picked out what is the core argument that you are making in this particular paper?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So first, thank you for the opportunity to share my paper, and also thank you to everybody for taking time to read it and to give me feedback. I'm very open, and I'm also here to learn. Yes, to answer your question directly, that was the claim that I was making, that racism exists in oral healthcare settings or dental settings, and that it has been understudied. And I hope to contribute to the literature in this particular setting, which I'm in the US. I'm studying in the US. Most of the literature on racism in healthcare seems to be focused on general healthcare, so general hospitals, because the US system is dentistry and general healthcare have historically been separated. And so general healthcare seems to be more, to have more literature on how racism impacts general healthcare, but dentistry seems to be one of the fields that have the least literature on how racism impacts dental health. So yes.
Okay, so you heard from the author, that's what they were going for, and they identified the gap in literature. We have a lot of studies on racism in general health, but in oral health, there seems to be a gap there, and they're making a claim that they find there is a gap and there is a connection between racism and how people experience fear and anxiety, which also leads to not utilizing services, and that's what they want to address in this study. So a claim is an assertion. It's something you assert as an author, as a researcher, and then you proceed to provide evidence to support that assertion that you're making. And you provide evidence based on other literature that people have worked on. So I just want to highlight briefly the article itself, and where we can pick out maybe the claim. You can see the article. Can you see? Can we see?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So always when you're, and please feel free to also discuss how you read, how you always read, like just make it open. I'm not a teacher, I'm also learning. So if for me, when I was looking for the claim, I went to the intro. So this is a very big claim that they've made. Racism is a public health threat that has been linked to health and healthcare inequities. That's a claim they're making. And now a good scholar will now go and start providing evidence for that claim of racism. So that was a major claim that they are making in their paper, their major argument. And then here they come and talk about racism in oral healthcare and how that is manifesting. So a good author puts their claim in the introduction. From the introduction, you can always speak what is the aim. An argument or a claim is what is this paper about? If someone asks you what is this paper about, you always go to what is their main argument. That's what the paper is about. The paper is about telling us we have racism in oral healthcare and it leads to this particular type of behavior, which is among this particular type of population. And in my paper, I'm going to show you how and how this manifests through this particular methodology. So a good author would have this come quite early, and anyone else please chip in, would have this coming quite early. So even for your own thesis, we should not struggle to find out what is this paper about in paragraph 3, 4. It should be quite out there so that we know what the paper is about. And then here you can see the author now establishes where their study lies. So they even use this theory to kind of frame the issue, but there's this part I found reduces the probability. So this, they're now giving evidence. Why is this important to study the racism? Because it reduces the probability of utilization. Then they now talk about the fear and anxiety. But there's this part they said that there is limited research. However,
I have a question. Go to introduction again. Go up to introduction. Go up again. Yes. This first sentence, and there's a reference there of literature 1 to 4. So is it in order to start exacting that there's something which I'm also referring to in the introduction, because I saw, like we had yesterday, we are talking about, yes, you have to justify what we are talking about, but is it okay when you start up there in the first sentence, like the way you have seen in the introduction? Yeah, just let me see whether, this one, therefore.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So what do people think? Is it, you're asking that when you make a claim, you should justify it with literature? Is that what you're asking?
I just want to confirm whether that is the way it should go, because we are early in this thing. So we want to make sure that how much do you give out, do you refer, like in that case, to support what we are trying to claim about.
Okay, throwing the question back to all of us, what do you think? We are learning, so no answer is wrong. We are just learning together. What do you think about the claim she makes, the authors make, and then they provide the reference to that particular claim? Do you think this is how it's done? What are your thoughts?
I think every journal has its own standards of citation and referencing. And so that the publisher the author was seeking to publish requires citations according to this format. That's my thought.
Okay, so it's based on the publisher. So it's relative based on that. Anyone else with another perspective? If you wrote this statement even in your paper, or you made a particular claim like, COVID is affecting what, would you follow that with a justification of a text, and why?
I think it's standard when you make a claim you need to justify where you're getting the claim from, because you are not an authority. You are an authority of your findings, not of the literature that you have studied. So when you make a proposition, then you should show where you're getting it from.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think so. I think anytime you make such a claim, because remember in research, what we are always trying to do, we are trying to persuade. And if you make such a claim and then it's not followed by any reference, then it becomes an opinion. Then it's very difficult for people to actually even believe that particular claim. So I think the authors, maybe one of the strengths of the authors, they have made a very strong claim and put literature to support it and gone further to provide more evidence to support this particular claim. So I think for me, it is good practice to do this. And sometimes I find, even when you're reviewing papers of people, they've made such a big claim in their research, but there is no evidence. Yes, yes. Sorry, someone is talking.
Actually, sorry, Aurelia, this has been my weakness. I make a big story and forget to do that. Now I'm running, so I'll be very careful to make sure. So thank you very much, Dr. Wambuki and everybody else.
Okay, so feel free to chip in, everyone, and you can put on chat. Thank you, Chris. I've made you a co-host for helping me. So yeah, so I think this is very important. And you can see how the author, in making that claim, the subsequent sessions, because this is where now they are giving evidence of their claim. Look at the literature that they have used just from the beginning, consulting literature, because this is how you also get authority of what you're saying. If all this is based on your own thoughts, it becomes a very weak argument. But the minute you put in other voices to strengthen your own argument, it becomes a very strong and powerful. Yeah. Any reflections on that? We are still at the claim level, but I think it's important also in how we write. And so I was just saying, here is where I felt the author now brought in another claim that there is limited research on the prevalence, genesis, and manifestation of gender, oh my gosh, I'm so into gender, of dental care related fear among this. So this is another claim they are making. And I found people making such claims like there is limited research. But after that, there is no evidence. Show us the evidence of the limited research. And how do you show this evidence? Show what has been done and what is missing, because that's then how we can believe there is limited evidence. But sometimes I see people write, no research has been done, but show us, can we see that? Can you prove that? And you can see how the author comes in and says, the paucity of research, they now, paucity means lack, they now continue explaining that lack of research through and through, what has been done, and what is missing. So when I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, now I have a sense of what's been done, and I also have a sense of what is missing. But if you make a claim there's limited research and there's no evidence, then it's not convincing. I don't know, what are your reflections on that? Carlo, how did you go about this process of providing this type of evidence? And then people can also share their reflections.
Yeah, the points you guys have made are really good. I want to specifically speak to that the first sentence. I think an additional, I think it's true. The people that publish your work give you feedback. That's definitely true, and you have to adhere to the requirements. It's also best practice to support claims. Also, I also think the nature of the claim can also help you determine how important it is to give evidence, because if you think about it, I'm claiming that racism is a public health threat, and this is in the US. of course, a lot of white people are going to be like, how do you know that? You know, like it's such the subject is so it's such a heated subject. So if you think about even, so I just wanted to add, there's some things, I mean, Charles Malala, your question is valid. Do we always do it, do we not? I think I'm learning that it's dealer's choice, and a lot of times it's best to support, but also you need to also think of the subject that you're trying to claim on and what the implications of that to your readers. So racism is a very heated topic in the US, as you all know. And so it's very difficult to speak about racism and not provide citations. So citations was so key for me compared to, and I'm not saying that it's more valuable topic than another. I'm just saying the nature of the topic. So if I, for example, started by saying that defining racism, because you can also start by definitions, right? There's some papers that start by definitions. You don't really need 4 citations for that. You can just cite, maybe the dictionary you got that from, or sometimes even you find people don't even cite a definition because it's a really generic definition or something. Yeah, so I just wanted to put emphasis on the nature of the topic. Also influenced like my 4 citations is because I'm talking about something that's a heated subject.
Thank you for sharing that. And you can see you as an author makes choices. There's no template. You make choices based on the context you're in, based on the topic you're writing about, and based on the power of the argument that you're making, because this is kind of the foundation of what the paper is. So I think also that providing that people be like, oh, okay, this is quite strong. So thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have any reflections on how you cite even for your own work? Well, today, even if we do the first 2 questions, you'll still be okay. I think we will continue again, but because it's also a learning process, is there anyone who'd like to reflect even on how they write this introduction of their research? It may not look like this, but really this is how the reader reads it. There's an introduction, you're saying your problem statement and your methods. So is there any reflection?
Sorry, to come in again.
No, don't apologize, please. We are learning. Even me, I'm learning.
we had a session where we are talking about preparedness, preparing for research. And some of us, when we are towards this doctoral business, we are in a rush. We want to get that paper and all that. But if you don't think through what you want to argue about, because this question will come forever, sometimes in your mind or just publicly. So what I'm learning here is be careful when you are choosing something, a topic or an area to defense. Make sure you understand. Make sure you can answer other questions which can go along. So preparedness is what I'm learning. And that's why sometimes I was in people take it long to do these things, because if you don't prepare, then you will be like, oh, you ask Sokoto, then Sokoto said, give me a minute, let me just check, and it becomes very bad. So I'm become very confident now that even if it takes long, but the area of discussion, of research must be solid in your mind. Thank you, that's what I want to just add.
Thank you, Charles. And I think that solidity is acquired by reading. The deeper you go, the deeper you sink your feet into that body of work that you have entered to research on, the more grounded you will feel, even as you provide your arguments and make your claims, because you have a sense. And I always say, like I said last time, read from different voices. Don't just read a government report and that's the foundation you're entering your topic in. Read about other opinion pieces. Go to the newspaper, see about that topic. Read about people in academia. Read about the global reports. Read about alternative views that and critiques around your topic. Then you will be better grounded. And the last thing I want to highlight maybe is how I have seen the authors. You can see the authors they're talking about racism. So they're providing that evidence in oral health settings, and they're talking about fear, anxiety, and utilization among Black American women. If you come here, you will see how they're providing the justification of all those things that they have stated. One is they're providing justification on why oral health. So you can see this part and how it reduces utilization. They're also providing justification why oral health, racism and oral health. They're also providing justification on why pregnant women, why Black American women. So you see, in research, you have to, as you're writing your paper, I think it's good practice to justify all the choices that you chose. Why Black women? Why oral health? Why racism? Why fear and anxiety? Why utilization? So that makes your argument very strong. Other than you just say, I'll do it in Kiambu, but why Kiambu? Why not Nairobi? So every choice you make needs to have a justification. Yes. So is there any, and then you see finally they're providing an hypothesis of how they're hypothesizing that racism experienced in oral healthcare would positively relate to dental fear and anxiety. And then this is now what they are going to now study using the different methodologies they have provided. Any reflection there, Carlo? Or anyone else? And please correct me. As I said, even me, I'm also learning as I have issues with net. Okay, fine. Thank you. So fine. So we've talked a bit about the claims. Then how are the claims and arguments being supported? So fear must be related. So one person says fear must be related to some traditional background, but it is not coming out clearly here. Okay. The author provides a theoretical frame to support, and also provides also literature on racism and impact of public health. So Carlo, what are the ways, apart from the ones you've mentioned, did you support this claim that you made? How did you go about choosing, this is what I will choose to support my claims? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I appreciate the feedback. I certainly think I can definitely be more clearer, but how I got here to where I am right now, to where the paper is right now. And I would love to hear, by the way, more how I could get clearer. If you have any thoughts, I would like that, because like I said, this is a build-up for my dissertation. So up to this point, the way that I thought about this was in my reading, I really looked for a theoretical frame that is addressing not only racism, but the implications of racism on health. And so for me, because those two are important, because my input is, the racism, and my outcome is health outcomes. And in this case, because I'm in psychology, the two outcomes, one is psychological and the one is psychological, which is dental fear or anxiety. And the second one is dental utilization, which in psychology is considered behavioral. So that's still an area that we measure. So I really was looking to find a theory, someone who has really gone into this connection of not just talking about racism, but the connection of racism and health. And so that was really where I started in terms of framing my arguments. So there's a lot of theories around racism, but a lot of them historically have been based off, they're defining racism and what it looks like, but that connection to health outcomes was something I really wanted. Another thing I wanted was an ecological perspective, and here you can see Krieger's theory is eco-social. What I mean by that is, at my background, I'm doing my PhD in psychology, but I also have trained in gender studies, and I'm a big fan of epistemology, you know, who creates knowledge and you know, who creates, I always question who creates knowledge, and also the complexity of human life. So I really wanted a theory that is complex, that is not so linear. And I always find that eco-social theories are able to place issues within context, which is more complicated, but for me, that is for me what humanity is, complicated. So those are the things that informed. I needed a theory that did not only talk about racism, but linked it to health outcomes. And I also wanted a theory that allowed for racism to be complex, that it's not just about a simple experience, just one, but it considered the context of the people that were experiencing this. So for example, the geography, the politics, the gender, which I bring into it, the class dynamic, so I wanted a complex theory, and I also wanted one that would link racism to health outcomes. Those are my two starting points.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Does anyone have any reflections? And even in how you choose to justify your claims, as you can see, you can even use a theory. And that's why there's no template exactly of how you write your research or what theories you use. It is you as an author who makes all these choices. And sometimes maybe it's your first research, so you're thinking, how do I make these choices? From where do I make these choices? So do not feel intimidated. I always remind people, remember, before you did your master's or your PhD, you were in class. You did coursework. And one of the reasons we do coursework, that's where we get introduced to theories. And some of those theories is what you can use to help you frame and support your claims better. So sometimes don't even struggle so much to look for theories. Your starting point could be what you learned in class. Maybe there's a subject that was a topic that was addressing what you're studying, and the lecturer mentioned a particular theory. You can have that as your starting point, and then as you continue reading, you can find other theories that you may find useful. So thank you, Carlo, for sharing that. For you, getting this particular theory helped you to actually say what you wanted to say and understand the complex issue of racism better. Any reflections? Okay, so we have, it's 8, but since we started a bit late, we'll go up to 8:05 with your permission. We can go up to the study design, and maybe this is one of those papers we'll also have to finish it. Today I know is the first day, we are all settling in, but I think you can see the type of review we are doing. We are learning as we are reviewing, so which is okay. So what is the study design that has been used? Someone says it looks like it's designed towards a focus group discussion. So focus group is a method. It's not really a study design, it's a method. And then someone says also it could be qualitative mediation analysis. I have to say, I wasn't very clear about the design, Carlo. When I read the paper, I wasn't quite clear what design was used. Was it longitudinal? So let me just project the paper and we can try to see what design was used. But you can also tell us what design was used for this particular paper.
Okay, and I think just looking for the page number. Okay, so someone said that, yeah, they didn't see that, and that's actually true. I didn't even notice that in our methods we did not specify that this was a cross-sectional study. So the study is cross-sectional. So it was data that was collected in one time. Like, you know, we measured racism experiences once. We did not go back and ask. we did not go back and ask the women, over a period of time. So it is not a longitudinal study. We did, however, measure lifetime racism. So we're not just asking them, like, did you experience racism the last 1 year? We just, in your general dental care use, what have you experienced? What are your experiences? And do any of them, would you explain any of them as a result of your race? Basically was the gist of what we asked, but the questions are all the way at the bottom of I think we provided the questions that the survey that was used. So to answer your question, it is a cross-sectional study, and you're right. We never mentioned it explicitly in the abstract section. We did mention it later in the method section in the sample recruitment and data collection piece section, which is page 30. So we talked about how we recruited. Yes, we talked about it, but yes, we never mentioned explicitly that it is a cross-sectional study, but that is what it is. So thank you for that.
So thank you, and that's why we also do these reviews it's good to say I don't see something, because then also the author reflects, oh yeah, we also did not have it. And
yeah, very helpful.
And yes. So that's one. So because then now it felt like it's a qualitative study. You see here, I even thought it's a qualitative study when I saw self-report, but then later when I came back, I was like, no, I think this is, then there was a mention of mediation analysis. Yeah, anyway. So thank you for clarifying
that was the
it wasn't very clear.
Yeah, yes. The mediation is the analysis that
Yes,
we, I believe we specified the analysis, but you're right. What we did not specify, and yeah, clearly is the method.
Okay, thank you for that. I think now it's 8:05. So I think because we had only asked to be here for an hour, what we can do, let me just project the remaining questions. I don't know how many of you would like to do this next Saturday. We finish the paper. Maybe I can see on chat. We can finish the paper next Saturday. Let me see if evening is better or morning. I think morning we have a Q&A, but we can still do. So can I guide it by people? What do you think? There's still a few more questions we haven't answered. So we have reached number 3. Do you want to do this next week? Please put on chat. The same time like today. Anybody? Let's see. Yes, Jayan. Okay. So there is a yes. So 7 to 8. Yes, Sarah, please ask.
I was just agreeing to meeting next Saturday. Thank you.
Okay. So what we will do, we will record in case you're aware. I don't know, was this useful? Maybe some reflections. Sorry, I really love reflections because it really helps us to see, is this useful? Can maybe two people unmute and then final word from Carlo, and then we wind up till next week. Was this useful for you, and in how, or was it not?
Yeah.
Madam Aurelia.
Who is talking?
This is Lydia.
Lydia,
Thank you
then
so
please.
Yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful work that you have done and the coordination. Otherwise, I feel that this is very, very much fruitful and it is going to take us far. So I think this is the best hour in the evening hours after having a long day with many activities. In actual fact, I appreciate what you are doing. Thank you, and to be even a member of this meeting this evening. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Yes, Chris.
Yes, yeah, it was certainly useful because what I'm also learning is that academic writing is like learning a foreign language. And the more you practice, that's when you get, and also the one thing that Carlos said about that not to just bring out racism, which might seem obvious, but also to complexify it, because when I'm reading now this article after this discussion, now I can understand why it would need to be broken down, that racism, then oral, dental care, and also that you even need a theory. I thought you'd think it was obvious that going to see a dentist is obvious, that there'll be fear and anxiety, but you need to still provide proof. So even the structuring of the paper was also good to hear. And it's, good to be, and thank you, Carlo.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've also seen on chat. This was useful. And thank you so much even for bearing with us. As I told you, it was also a first time for us. So we are learning as we are going. And I think that's the only way we can do it. We learn as we go and support each other. So Carlo, do you have any final reflections? So what I'll say before Carlo comes, let's read the paper. I will put this in the journal club. I will put this link so that we can fill it in. Remember, I told you the more you practice, as Chris says, the more you practice pulling out what people have written, the better also you become your own relation. So I ask you, if you hadn't read and answered this question, take time and do it. And then next Saturday, we can have a more vibrant discussion. And as we now continue unpacking this paper. Yes, Carlo, over to you.
Sorry, can I say something to Carol?
Yes, yes.
If I'm calm like herself in a defense and pastor, you are calm and you explain very well. So I learned so much from you. So I'm becoming like you have to become, even if it's not really, if it's difficult. So we copied you. I copied you straight away.
Yes, thank you. Carlo, there's one comment that I like from Hasina. She says she'll use this to approach her articles. The way you're using words like likewise, yet, how she brought the evidence in the initial statement. So those words are called, I think they're the transitional verbs. They really help they really help your work to have coherence. Remember when you're writing, it's like you're telling a story. Then you went, yet, however, sometimes, nevertheless, those transitional verbs really make your writing really good and connected. Okay, Carlo, over to you.
Wow, thank you so much for the remarks. I also want to say that this is very useful, even on the receiving end, even if I'm the one on the hot seat. Of course, I was. It's always you're always a little nervous when people are reading your work, but at this point, I feel like it's so exciting to be able to get feedback, and also for me, I feel it's such a privilege to be able to interact with fellow African researchers because they're not, and I don't get to do that often. So that is also, so I just wanted to say, yeah, that this means a lot to me, not only because of feedback, but also the relationship of having scholars from the continent comment on my work. It means a lot to me as an African scholar. The other thing is I wanted to clarify that just because terminology is very important in research. So I I did what I initially said. I did not mention the method, but what I did not mention is the type of study. I didn't mention the study in my paper. So the type of study, a cross-sectional study, is a type of study. But mediation is the method of analysis. So I just wanted to distinguish those two, because I think those are just little things that are important to have clear. And for me, it took time to distinguish them. So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to echo the words that you said, Aurelia, about theory. One of the things I'm learning is that we can really waste so much time trying to do something like find a theory, when sometimes the things that have already been provided to us in our readings, for example, or by our professors or by colleagues, or the resources, for example, that Ida shares all the time. By the way, a recent resource I found very helpful and I'm using for my dissertation is the structure of the paragraph. There's a YouTube that I think, there's a YouTube thing that someone sent. I think it was you, Aurelia, that you sent.
Yes.
I find that amazing. And the data bank, that woman shares a link to Phrase Bank by Manchester University. Oh my goodness. So what Hasina is talking about, these are not even, it's me borrowing from other people also. So yeah, I think just using what we have around us can also simplify the process. Yeah, and like Charles said, it does take time to know yourself. We have to know ourselves, to know what we like, we don't like, because we have to make author decisions. Like me, I insisted. By the way, you should know that my advisor, who is the second author for my dissertation, does not care for theory. Maybe that's the story I'll end with. My advisor doesn't care for theory. She doesn't think theory is necessary when writing a paper or even for my dissertation. So she advised, but she does not mind if you use a theory, but she doesn't require it. Now that for me was interesting, because I realized that the use of theory in this paper and in my dissertation is really a reflection of who I am, who I have become in this journey. Like I said, I have a background in gender studies. Gender studies really talks about the need for theory and the value for theory, because of how, with theory, you're really acknowledging that people have been thinking about this issue for a while. You're not the first one. That's at least how I see it. And so you're building on it. And when you do use a theory, you don't have to just use it as it is. You can use it, and if you think it has a limitation, you add to it. But I just love the concept of theory. The way I was taught to value it is that it's evidence that someone really spent years looking at something that you're also interested in, and this is what they've come up with so far. And it really helps you to think about that same issue. So for me, I find it very communal to use theory. That's how I perceive theory. I see it as a way of meeting with many minds, even if I don't get to meet the person themselves, that were the people that contributed. And it really helps you to find words to use, to structure my discussions and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say that it was a big part for me to be able to choose to use theory when my advisor didn't expect me to, but I also learned that that's a contribution of who I have become this far in my journey. And it feels good to know that you're also becoming someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, and I look forward to next week.
I like that. I like that idea of becoming. And let me just say one thing about theory. I also use theory to help me frame my research problem in kind of a deeper way or a different way. So for instance, if I want to study how Kenyans pay for healthcare, I could study it that way, but if I use a theory, I will use a theory. Maybe I can say, let me use the theory of social exclusion. So if I use the theory of social exclusion and use the tenets of that theory, it's a concept, it's not a theory, but if I use it, it's going to help me go deeper. It's helped me to go a bit more deeper rather than just saying, how do Kenyans pay for healthcare? I'm going to frame that problem with that lens of social exclusion. So the question becomes deeper, and I also go deep. So for me, I also use theory in how I frame an issue. Yes. So I just wanted to say that.
I agree with that. Yes, it takes you deeper because these are the idea is that people have been doing this, right? There's nothing new under the sun. People have been, and there's no topic that has never been touched on. And I like that. That means that we don't have to start from scratch, that we're building.
Yeah.
And that means that we can use what others have terms and ideas and build on them. And it becomes deeper, like you're saying, because of that borrowing from each other instead of starting from scratch. But maybe others will say that's me being lazy. But that's how I view it.
No, I think I've put the link. No, I don't think it's been lazy. I've put the link for the Phrase Bank there. Someone, I think it's Hasina. I shared it in the Journal Club. There's I'll share again that video. She really talks very well about how do you structure a paragraph. You start from a topic sentence, you provide evidence, you analyze that, and then you conclude. So you see, if you do that for all your paragraphs, it becomes very strong. So she shared one of these, the Phrase Bank, which is there. So Hasina, can you access it here? I'll also share it with you on your email. Okay, so good people, I wish you well. Thank you for coming. Let's see each other next week, 1 hour. Please read the article. I'll put the link again back, the Google Doc on the Journal Club. And I think it's going to be great. Yes. So see you next week as we finalize the paper. Thank you, Chris, for helping me to co-host. I appreciate.
Sana, karibu sana.
So Hasina have shared the Phrase Bank. Yes. Thank you, Carlo, for coming. It's always nice to have the author. It stops being like this anonymous human being who wrote a paper.
Thanks, Aurelia, for inviting me. I wasn't sure if I was even going to be discussing my paper because I wasn't sure, because I sent it in a little late. Sorry for that. I was shy. Okay. And then I decided to be confident and just send in a paper.
No, it's okay. Hasina, I've sent you on your WhatsApp the Phrase Bank. So I know you asked about it.
Aurelia, will you put it on the group, please?
I'll put it on your WhatsApp.
Okay, is it is it a YouTube?
There is the YouTube. I'll send you the YouTube link. No, the Phrase Bank is an article, is a site. It's a website.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's not a video.
And I think the author did a wonderful job. We are learning so much here from myself for being a novice.
Thanks, Hasina. I also agree with the use of theory. Thank you for your feedback.
I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye. Enjoy the evening. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Let me go off. Let me end it.